Right, so without further ado, I think we need to, obviously we've been through the welcome procedure already. And what is the evolution of gas detection? Okay. And that started many, many years ago in the form of when people had no other form of gas detection apart from their nose. And of course that's not reliable at all, because there's many toxic gases and things out there that people do not and cannot smell. We're going to also talk about the evolution of gas detection, and we're making sense of the industrial Internet of Things, and that's the Internet that we now all have and we use. And if we want to know something, what do? We Google it, okay? So that leads us on to connected safety. We're going to look at a connected and an unconnected version zero, the layers of security that are in place in order to make sure that this information is confidential. That's the last thing you want to do is share from your company's perspective or the plant's perspective as to what went down. And that business belongs fully to that company. We're going to then also show you Blackline Live. Now, Blackline Live is actually portal because the devices that we're showing you today are connected. We're going to briefly then touch on flammable gas sensor history and the latest technologies. And if we can continue. Right. The very first, and probably the one, and if you did this today, they'd probably want to hang you and put you in jail. If you put a canary in a cage like they used to, it's taken down in the mine, and when the canary died, it was an indication that there was gas present. Things moved on a little bit over the years, and we went to the safety lamp, which is the baby lamp. And as and when flammable gases were detected underground, the flame initially being blue in colour, burning benzene or something that burns blue in colour, would then burn the carbon in the CH4, which is methane, and in turn that flame would then turn an orange colour. And when they saw the orange colour, it was time to leave. Later on, the evolution went to and the NSA were the first people out with this sort of explosive meter. And as you can see there, it was as big as 4 bricks. It weighed just as much, and it was a mission to take it and carry it around. And as evolution has gone on, we then went on to portable gas detectors. And the portable gas detectors as such then became single, multi-gas, and so on and so forth. Right, what are we talking about when we talk about connected safety? It's connecting people, their equipment, and your operation. Now, if I look at this audience sitting in front of me, is there anybody sitting here that doesn't have a smartphone? We all have smartphones, don't we? We're connected. We can find out things, we can Google things, we can do what we need to. But unfortunately, what tends to happen in the workplace is that people come to the workplace, they're connected. In the majority of times, they're not allowed to take their cell phones into that facility, depending on what you're doing. And as such, you then become unconnected until the time you go home. And Blackline have transformed this. So we are going to look at the digitally enabled approach to measure and improve safety performance. Okay. Right, how do we do that? And this is part of the white paper. You have a digital transformation of the Internet of Things. You have smartphones and wearables that you can wear in the plant that can do various things for you. And this has not been the case in industrial or manufacturing work sites. Many workers have smartphones, and as I said, that gets left in a locker or maybe in a car. And then we're now able to connect all the elements in the workplace together using smart stuff. So if I had to hold up this unit here like that, you'll see that on the top here there's a green light burning. This green light in effect tells me as the user that I'm connected. And the reason I'm connected because that's connected to the GSM network, like the cell phone will get, as well as to the GPS network. So it's able to pinpoint us exactly where I'm standing right now. Okay? So we have several devices. The gentleman at the door's got one. The lady here to my left who's running the presentation, she's got one. So the units are now in effect connected. And if we look at that, we're then able to say, well, what has changed from the past? And what's changed from the past is, if you were in an environment, you weren't connected, because you might have had a gas detector and you were walking around, and if you've got a gas alarm, you must hope that somebody close by heard that. Because if you were taken down for any reason, you wouldn't be around longer to tell the tale. So this is what it is. So this device now has shortened, as per the slide there, the actual time it takes in order to find a person that has had an incident. So if you look at the bottom scenario, you have an event taking place, and then perhaps 2 hours go past, and we beat the canteen for lunch, and we say, where's Philemon? And nobody knows who Philemon is. But a bit later, we go and start looking for him, and so on and so forth, and eventually, hopefully, we find him in time. If he's found in time, then hopefully he can be taken to the medical and be sorted. Alternatively, he might have died for that matter. And it's not a nice thing to say, but it happens. On the top side, because we're now connected, we're connected into a framework, a network, where an operator, or even the safety people within the plant, can actually physically see an alarm taking place. And in that way, you can shorten that time as to an incident. Okay. Right. What's important here is layers of security, and that's paramount to what happens at company ABC must stay within ABC. Because if it didn't, department and manpower and that sort of thing would hear rumors and things, and then it becomes a general known thing. So it's up to that company to deal with that specifically in the sense of what the effect might have been or what happened. So we go through several layers of security. Now if we take a look and we look at the instruments on the left-hand side, there's various. We do it in a cell version and we do it in a satellite version. They in turn go through layers of security, which is the cell phone towers or the Iridium network. It then goes through to mainframe computers, through another firewall and so on, and then eventually out. And the system produces SMSs and emails to the respondents that have been tagged in on the system. So you guys could be sitting at home on a Saturday afternoon and watching Kaiser Chiefs play the Bucks, and you'll know that at work something has gone down and something's happened. And as managers and responsible people, you will then in turn then be able to action it, because you then know immediately, like you can imagine. Right, so then we go through the layers of security, and then it comes back virtually to the network, and then we're able to then produce things. So what happens? And we'll go through a whole sequence of events that's going to happen, but the security layers are there. Okay? Right. You need multiple layers of communication, and I think that's the main thing. So this device has several things. So we have the connector, as I said. We then have, if it's gas, you have live gas readings from the top right cartridge. The bottom part of this device is a safety device. So what we have here is we obviously have the display. We have this red tag here, which is an emergency call. So in the event of something happening, or being attacked, or whatever the case, I've fallen, I've hurt myself, I can call this emergency alert, and immediately it goes through to the portal, and the people then respond, and then they can action it. And the action procedure will depend on how your company has set it up. So it might be whatever. So what we then can do is we can also phone the device. So you can actually speak to the person in the plant on his gas detector. Now, those of you who perhaps understand it a little bit better, this is an intrinsically safe device. In other words, capable of working in a plant, for example, like a petrochemical plant, or whatever the case might be. So there's several approvals. You need to have, initially you need to have ATEX approval. We locally also have what they call an IA approval. And further than that, because it is a cellular type device, we also have IIoT approval. So all the approvals are there in order to make sure that it's safe. You cannot go into a flammable plant to take your phone and use it because it's the risk of setting on fire, and which makes just to go to an explosion. Okay, so let's get back to this. We have the emergency alarm. We have a fall alarm. So if we happen to be walking around ponds and fall, we have a no motion alarm built into this. So it might be that you're walking along and something big hits you, and you virtually unconscious straight away will go into an alarm and let the people know that you're in trouble. It also has a check-in facility, so we can set up on the portal that every half an hour you must check in. So you physically push the button and you check in. In addition to that, now we've also added push to talk. So we've got 99 channels on, and it now becomes like a two-way radio. So you can have one plant on one channel, another plant on another channel, and break it up like that, maintenance, electrical, whatever you'd like to do. And if I have to push this now, that device, as well as the device at the door, will transmit, and we can now have this conversation. Right, so in essence, that's it done. Now, in addition to the push to talk, we also have messaging. So I can message the device. I don't necessarily, I can't make a call here, so I can't phone and say I've got a problem. I've got to do an emergency or whatever, but what I can do, and I'm going to go to that now, go to the menu, and I go to messages, and I'm going to say send a message, all right? I have 10 messages to choose from. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to say send help. And if I'm sending it now, it's going to come out the top of the screen, send help. So immediately there's this high level of communication immediately. I'm in trouble. I might not have been able to do anything, but I can do it. At the same time, my phone is just buzzed. I have the SMS that's come through. And if I wait a little bit longer, I'll get the mail. And in turn, the person on the managing this process can in turn send me a message back, which I've just received, and that says help dispatch. So I'm fully aware now that help is on its way to assist me. They don't know what it is at this particular point in time, but that's irrelevant at this point. Okay, we're now going to do another message. We're going to do a phone call to this device. So our control room is busy monitoring the setup, and I'm going to pull this emergency tab. And when I do that, we're going to have all the bells and the whistles ringing. I will quieten it down so that we can hear what's going on, and virtually immediately, we will have flashing blue lights. The flashing blue lights is an indication to the person who's actually got this device that I'm in trouble, and they now know that help is on its way. She will then place a call to this device, and we will have a call. At the same time, SMSs, mails are sent to everybody on the respondents list, and in turn, once it's resolved, another mail will come through. When the second mail comes through, we can go down to a tab, click on the tab, and listen to the voice recording. So let's say, for example, as a result of an incident or whatever, there's the following day a hearing or whatever the case might be with respect to what happened, you can go and listen to the voice recording. So this is all going to happen very fast, so just let's go. Right. The computer is alarm. There's the alarm come through on the top. The icon, that's me, has gone red. The person monitoring this now knows that there is a situation present. Okay? Blue lights are flashing. She's acknowledged that I've got a problem. And she's shortly going to place a call. And it's not this lady that's in our control room in Springs, all right? She's going to talk to us, and hopefully you can hear it come through. So you don't have, it's not like a cell phone, you have to talk like this, you just talk. Because you might, there we go.
Good day, I'm speaking from Mr. Mark. Is everything okay?
Yes, thank you for calling. Yes, everything is fine. We're just doing a demonstration at the SAIOSH stand. Would you go ahead and resolve it, please?
Okay, perfect. Who am I speaking to today?
You're speaking to Alan.
Okay, Alan, is there anything else I can assist you with?
No, that would be all. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, so the call probably won't go like that. It'll probably go, I'm in trouble, whatever the case might be. Right, so you can see now there's, okay, this will be the last two that are there. First one that came through was this device, and that's under my name, of course. And we go through the whole setup, and it gives our position, our coordinates, and everything pertained to where it is. And we have an 087 number. The system produces a 6-digit number, so that when you phone the 87 number on the voice prompt, it then asks you for the digital 6-digit number. You put that in, and that's how it connects with this device. So we could have 100 in the plant. You will only connect with that particular device. Okay. If we go to the result now, there it says download the recording. So now we can download the recording and actually play that back there now if we so wish. You can now have several devices, and you can also mass messages. So let's say, for example, in a plant there's a fire, whatever the case might be, or an incident. The fire chief who is ever in charge of that can then send people to different muster points. And then you control the situation under the emergency. Okay, and this is a three-part message. In other words, you can put in whatever desires. So there's it, and you can put in there, move to muster point X, Y, Z, whatever the case might be. And there comes the message too. And the message is saying to me, evacuate to muster point A. So everybody who has a device is then instructed on where to go and what to do. Okay, so we're back to real time. So click on the device on the left-hand side, you'll see these little green icons, and they're the units that are on. So we go to my device and look on the right-hand side. So what happens is the cell network, it pings the cell network every 5 minutes and updates it. It gives a last communication. It's currently looking at 5, if I can read correctly, 5 GPS satellites here. It's not moving. In other words, we're not in a vehicle or anything like that, so there's no speed involved. Because it's got gas detection on it, those are the live readings of this device that I've got in my hand. And we go down further, and it now gives us our position in longitude and latitude. It tells how much battery strength we've got in the device. It also says signal strength. And then there's other tabs there that you can call the device and so on. So that then rounds the whole sort of network up and how you can find it. All right. Let's continue. We're actually going to talk a little bit about flammable gas sensors. And flammable gas sensors have been around since the 1920s. And that was a catalytic bead die, which was used for many years and is still used today, as a matter of fact. Very reliable, just a very high consumer battery die. Then In the 70s, they came out with the infrared, and flammable gases passing the infrared sensor were good and fine. In some cases, you couldn't measure some gases, so you could be in trouble if you choose the wrong sensor. You're trying to measure hydrogen, acetylene, that sort of thing. We now use a sensor called an MPS sensor, which is a molecular property spectrometer. Now those are big words. But a spectrometer, in essence, is a device that you find in a lab, where you could take a gas sample along to put through that, and it will tell you there's this and that, whatever the composition of it. So that's now come down to a small portable sensor the size of a sort of 20-cent piece, if you like, and probably about that big. So it shows you how technology's moved on from the canary to where we are today. And so what the sensor now does further, it now can identify what gas it's in. So on the portal coming in, the information coming in, we can see that there is hydrogen here, whatever the case might be. Okay, if we look at that now, that's a comparison. And what we will do so that you can obviously do comparisons, if you put a W in the right-hand corner when you put your entry in the box, we can send you a digital copy of this presentation. So, having said that, it's much more accurate, it's more linear. We can calibrate with one gas, but we're calibrating 12 gases simultaneously. So it's a bit of a complex thing, and I don't want to get too much involved with specifics, but believe me, you've heard the saying, this is the best thing since sliced bread. This is the best thing since sliced bread with toast and marmite. Okay? So it's how life has moved on, and how people these days are more connected than we've ever been before. Okay? Thank you, sir. Sam? Okay, so if we look at the graphs, instead of being all over the show, because different gases have different characteristics and act differently, it makes all those lines more straight. And when it does that, it makes that it ensures that you get the accuracy. Right, so now here's a little bit on the classification. So if we look on the list of tags and everything that come through, it can tell us whether we've got hydrogen present, it can tell us whether we've got a hydrogen mixture. It can't specifically say hydrogen and methane, so a hydrogen mixture would probably be hydrogen and methane. And that specific information helps in identifying causes or where the leaks might be, that you can obviously put that through to the maintenance staff, and they can obviously do and look at the problems in that area. So there's, in essence, 6 classification areas as far as gas is concerned, and the information will show up one of those every time. Okay? Right, this is, now we're getting into the nuts and the bolts of the brains of this thing. This portal and all the information in the background has cost millions of dollars, been developed and made in Canada. So everything going through, every time the network pings it, irrespective of whether there is an alarm, it's measuring any gas levels at all. So it could be from minuscule right through to before alarm level, and we can then go in and then we say, right, give us a rundown on all our units and where did they see gas. So if you can see on the side on the left, in that particular area there was quite a lot of pings in that area. So there's potential bigger hazard there than there would be at the bottom. And then you can put things in place in order to sort that out. On the right hand side, very much the same. On the top it gives you the values of the gases that it's seen and where they were. And they color coded. So you can have this flammable oxygens or CO, CO2, whatever gases you've got for your risk analysis will be shown up there. Okay. Right, there's toxic gas readings, very toxic. So we had some flammables at the top, In the next area, there's some hydrogen cyanide. Then we have CO2, which is quite abundant in that area. If you look down the bottom, we have a CO2 and a CO mixture, and they happen to be in the same spot. And then in the bottom, we have some flammable and oxygen. And in that way, you can sit at your desk. You don't have to run around collecting instruments and saying, download me, and trying to take this and put it into a spreadsheet format, try to draw charts, whatever the case might be. It's all at your fingertips, so you can push a report out in a matter of minutes. Okay? Right, and if we look at the family, so we've got several pieces to the family. We've got the little ones like we've shown you now, and we also have a big one in the middle, and that's an area monitor. Now, as we're talking now, that area monitor is standing on our stand, A19, and as we connect it here, it's connected with us. So it was part of that push to talk and the talking and everything that would have heard on the stand that we did that. And so everything permutates back to that. So it's all about communication, it's all about being connected, it's all about being safe. Okay? Right, so in essence, probably the final slide we can do before that, but let me just do one other thing. The unit itself has other things. It has Bluetooth, like your phone has Bluetooth and the certain thing. So in noisy areas you can connect to headsets so that the guy would have the unit on. You can still hear what's going on, you can still talk to him, and he's not without communication. We do the unit in a satellite version. The satellite version requires a unit like this called a brick. So that would probably be put in a central position. We'd be connecting. So we're not connecting to this bridge. This device now is a satellite one. It's connecting to the bridge that's on our stand, and it's permutating by a satellite our exact position. And in turn, the only thing that we lose here is we lose the capability of voice, because voice is very expensive over satellite. So it's purely a communication via messaging, backwards and forth via the bridge setting. So if we look at areas, for example, the only other thing that I perhaps haven't covered, if you're looking at confined spaces, we have a pump version available, and you can then pump a sample out prior to getting into a sump or whatever. You don't want to jump in a sump and get gassed. And then you hear the story where the next guy went in to save him and he's dead too. And the third guy went in to save him and he's now in hospital. And he'll probably never go home because he's a vegetable. So in essence, if we look at the whole scenario, what do? We have connected wearables. We have connected area monitors, which is a big deal. We have 24/7 live monitoring. Okay. We have all the report instruction analytics to cover that. And in turn, that all goes back to a cloud-based system, which you saw, and that in turn gives you all the information and analysis that you require. Right, that concludes this presentation. Do we have any questions from the floor? Have I explained myself quite clearly all around? Any questions? Please feel free to ask. This is not everybody's ball game, not everybody's involved in gas detection. You can have them without gas detection, but it's purely a monitoring thing, especially women in the workplace. For example, in what's happening in this day and age, you now can be safe wearing something like that. That concludes our presentation, and I want to thank you again for joining us. If there's no further questions, and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.